Hey friends, it's Allie with Allie's Boutique. Thank you so much for watching our channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how I learned to make faux pumpkin stems out of air dry clay that look so realistic. These things are sold all over Etsy, the internet, real ones, but they're kind of pricey. So I wanted to learn how I could make stems for my pumpkins that looked real. And so I watched a lot of videos, a lot of other people that are experts at it, and I learned how to make them, and I added my own little twist to kind of make it my own. So anyway, these little stems, this one is painted gold. It's so pretty, and it looks great on velvet or fabric pumpkins. These, like I showed you, are painted to look real, like dried pumpkin stems. They look so good. So I'm going to show you in this video how I learned to make them so that you can make your own. I used Iron Orchid Designs, air dry clay. The longest part of this is just letting the stems dry overnight so you can paint them. But other than that, it's super easy. So have fun watching, and if you love the video, will you share it? Subscribe to our channel, check out our social media. You can search Shop Alley Oops, and you can find us everywhere. So happy crafting. Okay, I am going to show you how I created these little stems out of air dry clay. Now I'm trying to create something that some of the stems on these faux pumpkins don't look so great. You know, like, okay, this one, for instance. I mean, it's just a little plastic stump of a stem, right? It's not very realistic, but the pumpkin looks pretty good. So I'm trying to make some little stems that I can remove these and replace with it so they look a little bit more realistic. All right, so I have been watching a ton of different videos on how to make stems using air dry clay. And so today I'm going to use the Iron Orchid Designs air dried clay. I have some of this left in my shop, just a few packs. I don't know, maybe 6 or 8. They're $11.99, and this clay is really good. One thing I'm going to share with you is I was struggling with the use of air dry clay because it kept drying out on me. I would open a pack, I would put it in a little Ziploc bag, and it would dry out. And I was keeping it in a cool, dry place, and I had it in what I thought was airtight. So what I did is, because I got tired of throwing away, because I don't do a lot of air dry clay projects, and I got tired of throwing them away once I opened them, I decided to try storing it in the fridge. And y'all already may know that, but I put it in a little like plastic storage container, and it's done really well for me so far. I've been able to keep this package because you really don't need a lot for this stems, and as I said, I don't do a lot of air dry clay projects. So this one I kind of let dry. I've got this pumpkin, and I am going to paint it, but I kind of sculpted that one to fit on this pumpkin. Once I paint it, it should look pretty good. Now I am kind of still learning this, but I'm going to show you how I created this. Now I'm working on painting some. I haven't quite gotten the color right, but this one looks pretty good. It's I followed one video and created this one. And so if I sit it down, you know, glue it on this little guy, he looks pretty good. And at the end of the video, I can show you some pictures of my finished project. But these stems are great to use on your fabric pumpkins that you make. They're great to replace the fake stems on, you know, plastic pumpkins that you paint. And I'm getting ready to repaint these. I've had these painted this color for a few years now, and I want to change it up. And so I'm looking for some cute little ways to update the stems. So that's a couple of things that you can do with them. Now, I really like these stems. I do oftentimes paint them, but I like the shape of that. And so I've been kind of playing around with different shapes and styles of stems. So this one I got, these are a little bit chunkier. I'm working on the color, getting a good color combination. This one's a little thinner, and I'm going to show you a couple of ways that I have seen this done and a couple of ways that I tried to do it, and that way you can know if you want to make some air dry clay pumpkin stems. So I'm opening up my air dry clay, and I'm doing it on this cabinet door that I absolutely love the color. This is Rethunk Junk Paint Blue Spruce. It's a beautiful color, but my clay was white. My surface that I usually use is white, but I wanted you to be able to see it. But I would use just maybe a plexiglass surface or something like that that you can wipe clean if you're going to do this air dry clay, because it does leave a little bit of a residue on there. All right, so the other thing that you can do is, as you're working with your air dry clay, I don't have any with me right now, but you can have a little cup of water and you can kind of smooth, if you see some cracking or whatever, just dip your finger in it and kind of smooth it with a little bit of water, and that usually works really well to smooth out any little cracks. So I'm going to close that up and keep it airtight. All right, so my biggest piece, I'm going to, this is one way that I made this stem. So I kind of leave the bottom a little bit wider and just kind of roll it in your hands. And then I kind of like to tap it to get a nice flat surface there. So I'm just tapping it, and then I'll take it and kind of smooth, you know, sort of make little sections to create the look of a stem. And remember, stems are very imperfect. They're natural, so there's a lot of asymmetry and they're just not perfect. They don't have to be. Now, I've got my little stem going on there, almost like a little witch's hat, right? That's what that kind of looks like. So then what I did, I'm going to show you a couple different ways. But what I did on my last one, and I really liked it, because you want like a twisty vine type look, I rolled out some skinny pieces about the length of my base of my stem, or first stem, and then look, I'm going to show you. I just pressed it down, pressed it into this particular one. So you have another little layer there. All right, let's stick it back down. Let's do that again. And one thing that I found, and I hear a lot on a lot of the videos that I watch, other people that make these, they said at first they tended to grab too much clay. So just start with some little pieces. You can always get more. So now I'm going to put one right there on the base and mash it gently into, so you're almost making like little stripes on your stem. All right. So there's that. You see how I've got the two little stripes? So you're layering your clay. All right, so I have another one I can roll out and get it to be kind of long. Then I'm going to put it right in there on the base, press it into my stem. Okay, so what you end up having is layers on top of your original stem. It gives a little bit more stability. You can see it is standing up. Okay. All right, so I'm going to press in to this with one more. So basically I have like 4 strips that I've pressed in. And now I'm going to take it and I'm going to twist it gently to get that twisty stem look. Oh, this one's looking really good. I think the more you do, the better you get. And then this is where you can take a little bit of water if you want and press it in and smooth out some of those little edges. But that looks really good. So now another lady that I watched, the way she got her in, because you know a pumpkin is snipped off the vine when they go to harvest them. So what she did, she just took scissors and she snipped it off so it has like this flat edge. I'm going to twist it just a little bit more twisty. And then she took, because she said in there, and I've never really looked that closely to a real pumpkin stem because, I mean, I just haven't. But she said there's like little holes in there. So she took like a little stick and just added a little texture. So you've got that. Okay. So there's that. That one looks pretty darn good. I really like that stem. It looks good. If you want to, if you have the pumpkin that you're putting it on, you can press it down to that pumpkin so that it will glue easy like that. And then you can let it dry. You just sit and let it dry. Now, if you want to get really particular about it all, you can kind of cut some little grooves in there with a little X-Acto knife. But remember, your pumpkin stem is not supposed to be perfect. So I'm just taking out a little bit to make it look like it's growing into that. Well, the pumpkin grew out of it, right? All right. So then there's that. You can kind of shape it into the grooves of the pumpkin. And then as it, let's see, this one would be kind of like that. Then once you get it painted, let's see, let's do this. Uh-oh. You just kind of get it shaped the way you want it to where it looks most like a stem to you. And then just let it dry. Now once it's dry, we're going to work on painting it. I'm still working on my colors, so we will try. A lot of people like, or we'll try it together. Let me finish my sentence. Sometimes I think my mind is going and I'm thinking of things to tell y'all before I even finish what I'm saying. So some people love to paint them gold, and I do like a pretty gold stem too, especially on the velvet and fabric pumpkins. So let's see. And I'll show you what this looks like. All right. But you can kind of see how I've shaped it, and once it's painted, you won't even see any of the little bumps and grooves. Okay, so you can let it dry right here on this pumpkin. so that it will glue in nicely, or you can set it on a flat surface, and then it can go on anything. It's not formed to a particular shape. So since I may or may not use this on this particular pumpkin, I'm just using it for an example, I will probably let this guy just kind of dry right there, because I'm probably going to use them on my fabric pumpkins. Okay, so now I'm going to show you one more way that I learned to do this. Okay, and if your clay starts to dry out, just add a little water. I'm going to get a little more clay. Just get start with little pinches. Don't get too crazy carried away like I did. I don't even need that much, I don't think. It's actually really fun to work with. I remember air dry clay from when I was a kid. I don't know, maybe 3rd, 4th grade. I made a, what's it called? A diorama of the Everglades. Okay. So I am just rolling in between my fingers and creating a nice stem shape. Fatter on the bottom, skinnier on the top, and I'm just shaping that bottom. All right, so this is real simple. Just kind of pound it down, get it nice and flat. Fan the bottom out by pushing it just a little bit. Now, all they did on theirs was they took a skewer like that, and they pressed in lines, so indentions. So then we did another one, press in a line, and then see how I'm doing that, and then do another one. So you want to do about 3 or 4, pressing in and putting that indention in there. Okay. Then you have this. He already looks like a good stem, doesn't he? All right, so then you kind of pound it down. Well, you don't kinda, you do. I need to stop saying that word kinda. All right, so now you have this really good, he looks good like as he is. Like, I don't even know that I want to cut him or anything like that. But then they take it and twist it just ever so slightly, real gently, to give it that twisty look, like a vine. All right, so I think I'm going to leave this guy just the way he is and let him dry. He turned out pretty darn good. I like that. I'm not even going to hump him over. I'm just going to let him dry. All right, so that's the 2 easy ways that I learned how to make a pumpkin stem using air dry clay. We're gonna let these dry, and then we'll come back in just a bit. Kind of see them? Come back in just a bit once they're dry, which actually it won't be just a bit. It'll be overnight, but I'm gonna show you how I paint them. Okay, now that the stems are all dried, I thought I would hop on here and just show you quickly how I painted some of them. Now, keep in mind, I wanted a really natural looking stem in the 2 that I did right here. So this one I used some chalk paint, and I went in the grooves with Dixie Belle collard greens, and then I went over the edges with some, oh, what color is it? Drop cloth. And then I took my brown wax, I actually used Annie Sloan's dark wax, and brushed it over it to give it an aged look. And I just really wanted it to look aged like a dried pumpkin stem. This one I did a little bit different. I used the drop cloth and I used collard greens as well, but then I went over it with a white wax. So it has a very lighter look to it, and almost like it's been dried in the sun. And so here's one of my fabric pumpkins, and I can glue that right in there, and I just love it. It looks perfect. Now I also painted one gold because I talked about we could paint them gold, which is really pretty when you do velvet. So what I did with this one, I took this stem, and I mean, I literally just painted it. You can use any gold metallic paint. This is a metallic craft paint. Oh, it says I got it from Hobby Lobby. And this is classic gold. But what I did first is I used this antique gold by Folk Art, and I put a coat on there, and then I lightly brushed some classic gold craft paint, and I was just lightly brushing it in there just to give it kind of a two-toned look. But I really do like that gold, and especially on velvet pumpkins. So I'll show you on this. You could do that beautiful gold stem, and it really, I had a really sweet friend, I still have her, Jamie. She says zhuzh it up. So it really zhuzhes it up, if that's a word. But I love this with the gold. So I think I'm gonna probably glue that gold stem on there before we stop this video. But I thought I'd really quickly just show you, take one of them, and you'll notice that there's going to be little cracks. Air dry clay has little cracks in it, and that's okay. It just adds to the character. So I put that coat of drop cloth on there. I was thinking it was buttercream, but it was actually drop cloth. And trying to get in all the grooves, give a nice good base coat. But if you miss a spot, it's no big deal. Just a little highlight. And I have been just making these very recently, so I haven't figured out a great way to paint them yet. Like I have my wooden beads. So if I do, I'll be sure to post an update. All right, so there's that. I guess my glue gun is not going to stay on. I was going to glue the stem on right here. All right, and so this is the other one that we made. It's nice and hard and ready to be painted. So then I would take, after I did it with a little bit of the Dixie Belle drop cloth, I would take this collard green, which is actually a deep green, and you don't even have to wait for the paint to dry. Just kind of get in those little cracks where the twists are, and you can even, there's another little paper towel, wipe away some of it if you want, so you have that look. So I'm just gonna, and I did do a little bit of research while I was waiting on them to dry, and they are just all different colors. You can find them, they're gray, they've got this deep green in them. You see the ones that are painted gold. You can paint them just about any color you want. And I originally tried using like a little sea sponge, and because I thought that little speckledy look would be nice, but I ended up not really liking it. So this is turning out pretty good. Completely different look, and you can, just based on whatever kind of pumpkin, the colors of the pumpkin, whether it's fabric or a realistic pumpkin. But I am literally just dabbing that paint on, kind of wiping it off. See there? And then I could put a little bit, I really kind of like how this looks with this green. So I'm probably not going to do too much more to it. But if I wanted to, I could take, and I'll show you on here. This has got some wax on it. And I could just go in with a little bit of brown wax or dark wax. And that would accent all the grooves and add a little bit more character to it. There you go. So if I wanted to put this on this pumpkin, he would sit right in there. He's cute, huh? It looks so realistic. So I did find a good color, and the trick was, I think I was trying to use too much brown. I was trying to go with brown and like a gold, the golden ochre color. But I think you really want to stick with, if you're wanting a more natural dried stem, you really want to stick with the lighter tans and the darker green. So I used Collard Green again by Dixie Belle, and I used drop cloth, and I used a little white wax on this little guy. And let's see, if you put him on, you could put him on this little pumpkin. So cute. And then I used brown wax, the dark wax by Annie Sloan on this one. I really love this one. I didn't think I would, but I really, really do. It looks so realistic. And then I'll probably play around with this. You just keep playing with it with the colors until you get it where you want it. And then this gold one, like I said, I can't get my glue gun started up, but I'm gonna glue that sucker right there. I really love this gold on this little felt pumpkin. So I think that will be his new stem. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm Allie with Allie Oops Boutique, and I so appreciate you spending time with me today and learning how to make pumpkin stems with air dry clay. If you liked what you see, I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel and to our channel and follow us. You can check us out on Facebook at Allie Oops or Instagram. I think all across the board we can type in Shop Allie Oops and you can find us, and you can see some of these great DIY projects. You can shop our boutique, you can shop our DIY supplies, and just have a little fun with us. Be our friend. Thanks so much for watching, and happy crafting.